Alright guys, welcome back to the Texas Scuba Adventures YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making a quick video on the correct process to attach a reel or finger spool into a SMB. The things that you are going to need to do this are laid out here in front of you. That is going to be a SMB, a finger spool, a lighter, and a double ender bolt net. Something like this. The first step in this process is going to be to get your finger spool and make sure that you have a nice clean end. So I already burned this off before I started the video, but if your finger spool came with a loop of some kind tied here on the end, the way you can get rid of that is you take your line, take your lighter, and then you just burn it until it falls right off. And then you have a nice clean end on your line. But that's what it'll look like, something like that. The next step is to tie this line in overhand loop knot. So in order to tie this line in overhand loop knot, you want to double the line over itself so it looks like this. And then you're going to fold it so you make a little loop, and you're going to bring the end of that line, fold it, make your loop, bring the end of that line up through the bottom like that, and then you're going to pull that tight. You want to make it to where you have as little tag end back here as possible, but even if you have a little bit, don't worry about it. I'll show you guys what to do about that in a minute. You should have a loop that's about 9 to 10 inches, all right? And that's your first loop. Then after that, you're going to come up to the very end of this loop and you're going to repeat the process, except this time you're going to make a small loop. The loop should be barely big enough for your finger to fit through. You're going to grab a little bit here at the end, fold it over, and stick that end up through that loop you just made, pull it down. That loop should be barely big enough to fit your finger through. Make sure that is good and tight, like that. And the next step in this process is going to be getting rid of this tag end. So the way we get rid of this tag end is by using the lighter. Similar process to how I cut off in the beginning. You just burn that end off and you should have a nice mushroom end just like that. That's what it'll look like altogether. The next step in this process is going to be attaching the SMB to the finger spool. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to find a little D-ring on the bottom of your SMB, feed the reel line through that D-ring so it looks something like this, and then you're going to take your spool and you're going to feed it through that big loop that you tied. Pull it down nice and tight, and it should look like that. The next step is going to take that SMB, you want to move it to the middle of that loop, and then you're just going to reel that line up onto that finger spool to where that SMB is just attached like that. So it's essentially a part of the reel. You're going to take this little loop and you're going to stick it through one of the holes in your finger spool. It's a little easier said than done sometimes, to where it looks like that. With this little hole here sticking out of your finger spool, you're going to take your double ender clip and you're just going to clip it through that little hole. And then this whole bundle stays together, and this can be clipped off to a D-ring or bundled up and put in a pocket. And then this way, if you need to deploy your SMB from under the surface, it's already all tied up in a perfect little bundle. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments below. If you have any questions about any of the products that you have seen in this video, you can give us a call at the shop or email us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.